Hi, are you ready for me? Because I am ready for you. Today we are in module 5, and I'm going to be going over getting found online search engine optimization strategies that you need to know to stay visible, for your website content to be ranking. And oh, I think we're having some lag. But anyway, for you're going to learn everything SEO to keep your website visible, make sure that you're ranking, and also to improve discoverability. Okay, so we're going to go over how search engine works, on page SEO essentials, off page SEO and backlinks. And I'm also going to walk you through some SEO tools like Google Search Console and keyword research tools. And then we'll talk about what's currently in vogue, which is AI and SEO. So, what has changed, what still matters, and everything else that you need to know. And to drive home the point, I will be using a real estate industry example because I want to give you guys examples. So, again, it's not just theory, but it is practical. And then in between all of these, I'll also incorporate like examples and information and takeaway that you need to know for your final project. So let's get started. Let's do this. Okay. So first of all, how does search engine work? Because before you truly understand search engine optimization strategies, it is important that you even know how search engine works because your website information is going to be on search engine, correct? So when it comes to search engine, the way it works is this. First, you create content, right? That's the background of everything. And we've talked about content marketing in the previous module. So after you've created content, you publish it on your website. The first thing that happens if you let Google know to crawl the website, because there are situations where, excuse me, there are situations where you don't want a particular page to be crawled because that page is not relevant for your growth. So there are situations where we absolutely were intentional about Google not seeing a page. But if you want a page to be seen on Google, you want your customers to see this page, then you want to make sure that it is crawled. And it is a button that you have to press before you publish a page online. It's going to ask you, depending on the hosting provider that you have, it's going to ask you, or the website builder rather, if it's WordPress, if it's Wix, whatsoever. Typically, they have that functionality where you can click the button to crawl the website, or if you do not, then you just turn it off. It's that easy. So the first step is making sure that that page is crawled. What does crawling means? It means now you have given Google the permission to go over every single content on that page. And now, once it has gone through all the content, so it has crawled through all the content, it scanned through the content, and I'm using different lingo so you can understand what I mean. After scanning through, which is the same thing as crawling, Google now understands the information on that page. It understands the industry, understands the concept, understands the topic. The next thing would be to index it. What does indexing mean? And I'm sure you can see it on the screen, but just follow me, follow along so you really understand this. Indexing simply means this. So let's say I just published a page that talks all about pharmaceutical industries. So after Google has crawled the page, it understands that it's talking about pharmaceutical industries, maybe pros and cons of pharmaceutical industries. So indexing, what indexing does is it takes my content and compiles it, indexes it, which means compiles it with other pages that are also talking about pharmaceutical industry. Does that make sense? So crawling means scanning, indexing means compilation. And this is what happens because when you have many industries talk, or one industry, and you have different people in that industry talking about the same topic, those topics are indexed, which means they're compiled. Now, what determines if one of those contents will rank in comparison to the other that they're talking about the same thing is how well they individually do their SEO. Does that make sense? So you could have person ABC talking about pros and cons of pharmaceutical industry, and only person A's content ranks because they're the only one that really implemented SEO strategies. So all the three contents were crawled, ABC, all three were indexed for ABC, but A was the only one that ranked because A was the only one that incorporated SEO strategies. Understood? So now let's read what you have here on the screen. So step one is crawling. Googlebot discovers your page, it goes through your content, right? And then indexing, after it's done crawling, analyzes the page, your text, your heading, your images, your links, and stores it, compiles it in a database. Okay? And then the final step, it's now to rank, which depends on the different factors, the different ranking factors, if they've been properly implemented in that particular content on that particular page. So the key takeaway here is SEO is not about tricking Google because some people have tried to trick Google by stuffing with keywords, and this will make sense very soon. But they try to stuff their content with keywords, and hopefully they're hoping that by stuffing with keywords, their content is going to rank. But at the end of the day, it's biting them. Like it's doing themselves. They're doing themselves a disservice. So, but what you want to do is to make your content genuinely the best result for a given search. And that is what I always teach when I used to teach SEO. Like make sure that for whatever topic that you're writing on, give the very best content that you could possibly think about. Put yourself in the shoe of the person searching for this content. Give them every single thing to the point where they don't have to go to another page to get answers anymore because you have perfectly answered all of their potential questions. Because for every question, there's a sub question, remember? So you've answered it with your headings and your subheadings and your subheadings. You've nailed it. So when you give excellent content and you incorporate SEO strategies, ranking becomes easy at that point. So now let's talk about the three-step process and using this, remember our real estate example. So I want you to see how a real estate agency would go from being invisible to finally ranking on page one. So remember our three-step process, the crawl, the you index, and then you rank. So they just launched a blog post, Best Neighborhoods to Buy a House in Austin, Texas in 2026. After the blog post was published, remember I told you they submitted it to Google Search Console, and you don't even have to submit it. Some people go the extra mile to submit it, but the moment you allow the functionality of that particular page to be crawled, it is submitted to Google Search Console as well. So the functionality to crawl has been allowed. This blog post is now being crawled, and the page is going to be discovered and queued for indexing. So with the indexing process, you have Google bots, they've read the page, looked at the H1 heading. H1 heading is like your title, the very first heading. Okay. You know how when you're working in Word, you have the topic, you have the H1 heading, H2 heading, so the different hierarchy of headings. All right. And it's indexed. It realizes that there are 1,800 words of original content, 6 images with alternate text. Alternate text are descriptions of images. Okay. 4 internal links to properly listings. So internal links are links to the person's website. External links are links to someone else's website. So the page is added to Google's index and becomes eligible to appear in search results because if it's not compiled, if it's not indexed, there's no chance for that content to rank. So now, when at the ranking stage, someone in Austin is searching for best neighborhoods to buy a house, Austin. Google compares the different landmark pages against 40 competing pages. Remember, I gave you example like ABC. Now we're competing with 40 pages that have talked about the same topic. At the end of the day, landmark Realty, which is the real estate agency that we're using for this example, they rank number 2. And at the end of the day, that drove 340 visitors to that particular page on that website per month without having to spend a dime on Google advertising. This is what search engine optimization can do, and that is how it works. Okay? So now, what is the most critical SEO concept? Because remember, I talked about keyword stuffing and how some people do that, where the particular keyword they want to rank for, once they know it, they start to incorporate that into like almost every paragraph in the content, and it becomes keyword spamming. Because as I'm reading, all I'm seeing is just a repetition of your keywords, and it just makes me not want to continue reading. But what you want to do is make sure that you understand search intent. So now, what is search intent? Search intent means, why is your customer searching for that particular information? Is it for informational purposes? Is it for navigational purposes? Is it commercial? Is it transactional? Informational intent means I just want to know. I'm not trying to buy anything. I'm not trying to go anywhere. I simply want to know more about this particular topic. This could be whenever you're like researching a particular topic, you want to learn more. Let's say you want to learn more about SEO, for example, and you just put it on Google. So that's like informational intent. So an example of an informational intent query would be how to buy a home in Austin. So they're asking a question, they want to know. It's for informational purposes. Now, this doesn't mean that you cannot have a keyword with two intents. You can, because the first one that says how to buy a home in Austin, it could both be informational and transactional. Okay? So you could have one keyword with different intent. And as we're on this topic, a keyword is a word or a phrase that a user uses to get to a particular information. So your keyword could be one word, it could be two words, it could be three, and as you can see here, we even have like 5 words in parentheses. So it's any word or phrase that potential customers use whenever they're searching for something. So remember, whenever you type things on Google, that's a keyword. And we have different types of keywords. We have long tail keywords, we have middle tail keywords, we have short tail keywords. Everything, what that means is the long tail keywords, they're long. Informational, the example for informational, commercial, and transactional, they're long tail keywords because anything more than like 5 words is long tailed. Between 3 to 5, medium tailed. Okay. Between 1 to 3 or 1 to 2, it's short tail keyword. So your navigational, the landmark realty Austin, that is more of a short tail keyword in comparison to the other ones that we have here on the screen. Okay. So we also have the second example here is navigational keyword. And as the name implies, this is for people who are trying to find something. So for example, if you're looking for suya place near me, or you're looking for ice cream place near me, that's navigational purposes. And then it tells you the address, and then you start looking and going to the particular place that you'd like to go to. Then you have the commercial intent. So this is when users are comparing options before committing. They're trying to look at different businesses before deciding on what to do. And it's different from transactional because commercial intent is I'm still deciding. Transactional is I am ready, I have decided, I'm ready to purchase. Okay. And you can read the different examples there and how best and in what formats they usually use. For navigational, it is best for Google Business Profile because for those who are familiar with Google Business Profile is how you get to different you find information about different businesses. So remember, when you Google ice cream place near me, when you Google that, it gives you a list of businesses that those businesses that you see pop up, those are Google Business Profiles. Okay. All right. So you have the different ways, the different formats, how you can incorporate them here on your screen. And I hope that this starts to make more sense to you and it helps you understand. And hopefully as you're going on Google and as you're searching for things, you can start to unconsciously tell yourself, oh, this is informational keyword. Oh, this is navigational. Oh, this is transactional. That's commercial. That is how I want you to start thinking moving forward. So now let's talk about on-page SEO. Now, on-page SEO in simple terms are things that you do on your website, to your website, to improve visibility. What do you do on your website to improve visibility? We have off-page SEO as well. These are outside things you do outside of your website that improves the visibility of your website. But we'll get to that. I just had to explain it so you could separate both in your mind. So on page SEO, as you can see on the screen, everything you control directly on your website, this is where beginners make the biggest gains and fastest. And I agree with it because when you can control something, you're able to make change quick. And what you can control is your website. It's not someone else's website. So what are examples of on-page SEO things that you could do? The title tag, making sure that the title tag includes your keyword, making sure that the meta description includes your keyword, making sure that at least one of your headings include your keyword. These are important things that you need to keep in mind. And then for the title, you always want to keep your title under 60 characters. Here is why. For titles that are longer than 60 characters, they get truncated. And when it gets truncated, we're not able to fully see your title, and then it defeats the purpose. For your meta description, it should be between 150 to 160 characters, and then your headings, keep them short and sweet. And you have examples here. So you see, look at the title tag. See, look at the example that you have here. That's all right. But the second one is too short. And another thing to keep in mind is it's always best practice to have numbers in your title if you are able to. If you're not able to, that's totally fine. Okay. And then for your meta descriptions, again, let it be descriptive. The goal is your meta description should be descriptive of your page content. Then the headings, you want to keep the heading short and sweet as well. You see how I have the H1 heading, that's the first heading. Then you have the subheading. Subheadings are like the H2 and H3s. Those are subheadings, okay? A heading should not be welcome with no further heading structure. It's not a heading. Welcome is not a heading, it's a statement. So be very careful with how you choose your headings. And what I'm going to do now is show you examples of everything that I've talked about so far so you can see it. Remember, we show, we do not just tell. Let's do it. Alrighty, so I'm over here searching for fastest growing counties in Florida. I want to show you something because remember, we talked about the different like tags, title tag, meta description, heading. I want to show you what those are all about. What are they? So this right here is your title tag. So you see how I can clearly see everything. Remember I said it's always good to include numbers in your title. See what they did here. 2026 in 2030. It's always good. That's a trick. And you can see the ones with the numbers are the ones ranking at the very top. You learned something. Okay, let me see if we can, see when I told you, make sure your title is not too long, otherwise it's going to get truncated. Look at the dot, dot, dot. That's a truncated title. We don't want that. These are meta descriptions, right? Meta descriptions right here. So let's read this. Florida's counties show varied growth patterns from 2020 to 2026. St. John County leads with, it's already giving me information about this blog post because I'm asking the fastest growing counties in Florida. It gave me like the first one leading and now followed by Osceola County. And now I'm interested. I want to read more. Like, okay, so what are the next ones? Right? So your meta description should be from your content and it should make me want to read more. Okay, so that's that. And then for the headings, what do I mean by H1 and H2? This is your title. Okay, that's your title. Now, this is not a blog post and it's leading us to different pages. We do not want that, so we're going to try this one instead. This is a real estate company, which is perfect because our example is a real estate company too. So this would be the title. Then we have the first. This is H1 heading, introduction. This is H2. Sorry, this is H1 heading, introduction. This is another H1 heading. This is H2 because it is a subheading under this. Frequently asked questions, that's the main heading, H1. Then these are the questions people are asking. Those are H2. Does that make sense? And I want to show you this heading, hierarchy, SEO. Look at this. I think this will help you even more. So let me find one that you'd really find more helpful. This is a good one, but it's too small, so we will not use it. We will not use it. Here, let's do this. So look at this hierarchy, right? Headings for SEO. This is the main heading. Then you start to have your subheadings, right? Subheading 2, subheading 3. So the main heading is, as the name implies, the main heading. And then anything under that will be the H2 and H3. Now, you can have several main headings. You could have heading 1, H1, several H1s. For example, let me see if I can find a blog post with several headings to share with you, to show you. Hold on, we're not going to spend too much time on this because I don't want to waste your time. So this is H1. What is an SEO headline? That's H1. Why SEO titles matter? That's H1 too. But this would be H2 because it is subheading under an H1 heading. Makes sense? This is another H1 and this is H2. Makes sense? If it doesn't make sense, ask me in our group chat and I'll be more than happy to explain further. All right, so let's go ahead and let's keep moving on. So we've talked about title tag, meta descriptions, H1 and the headings. Then we also have keyword placement. In your blog posts, as you're coming up with the blog post, remember you have to come up with one for your campaign. In your blog post, make sure that your keyword is also in the body of the content. And my advice for you, and this is an SEO trick that you should always keep in mind, your primary keyword should be in the first 100 words. To make this easier, I always tell people within the first 3 sentences of that blog post, I should see your primary keyword, your main keyword. And you already know this. Never stuff your content with keywords. Also, internal linking. Now, for the blog post that you're going to be creating for the campaign, you will not have a website to work with. So you won't, most likely won't have internal linking, and that's okay. But you could give me a mock-up of internal linking by linking to something. You could even link to other sources. That's fine for the sake of your project. But remember, internal links are always great for your SEO because what you're doing is you're keeping your audience on your website. You don't want them to go, and that's the goal. We want to reduce the bounce rate. Bounce rate is how quickly people leave your website, and if we can keep them on your website, that reduces the bounce rate. Always add descriptions to your images. It is good for SEO. And don't just add random descriptions. Let it be descriptive of the image such that for someone who cannot see, but with your description, can they fully understand what you're talking about? That's what we want. Okay, good. So I'm sure you can read this, but I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job of explaining everything to you. That's the point. And you can go ahead and read on your own as you wish. So for the final project, I want you to apply all the 6 on-page elements to your campaign landing page. So that's where I want to see all of these shine forth. Okay, good. So now let's talk about technical SEO because yes, you have on-page SEO and I talked about off-page SEO as well, but technical SEO are things that are not so easy, but they also they can negatively impact your SEO. And as the name implies, it's technical. So it is you fixing the speed, the page speed on your website. It is you making sure that every single information loads at the right time that they should load. Okay. So for the first thing that you see here, the largest contentful paint. This is telling you that the largest file on your website, on that particular page, the largest photo, the largest file should load with less than 2.5 seconds. If it's longer than that, we need to see if we need to check if we need to reduce the size of that particular file, of that particular photo. And the FID, the first input delay, is how fast the page responds to the first user action. So if I'm clicking a search filter or a contact button, how quickly does that appear? And it tells you the time limit over there. And then the cumulative layout shift, this is how much things are shifting as they're loading. And that's why I always love like static websites where things are not moving so much, because this could negatively impact your ranking if it's so slow. Okay, now all of these, remember when I told you about pagespeed.dev? It gives you all of this information. If your website is slow in any of these areas, it tells you, and it also tells you how to fix it. So make sure you get familiar with that tool. Other things that you should keep in mind, security is part of technical SEO. If your website is showing as HTTP instead of HTTPS, that is a technical issue that needs to be fixed. Because when your website is not secure, it dissuades people from visiting. Also, you want to make sure that your page speed is 80 plus. We talked about that already, so I'm not going to harp on it. Make sure that your website is visible to be crawled in the first place. And the way you can check this is by going to Google Search Console to ask and see. Google Search Console will give you information on what page is crawlable and which page is currently not being crawled. And then you can go through the data and see if relevant pages are being crawled and if non-relevant pages are staying uncrawled. Make sure you don't have any broken links on your site. How do you ensure this? Because that's the question I will be asking too. The tool that we use at SumLife, the business, to check for our clients is we use Ubersuggest. Now, there's a free version. So all you have to do is put the link of your website in Ubersuggest and tell it to analyze, and it will give you all of the problems that you have on the website, including the technical issues as well. Okay, make sure your website is mobile friendly. These are things that are technical. Now, I'm only going over these concepts surface level because they're very advanced, they're very detailed, and it's not for the kind of level of teaching that I'm having with you. But if you want to learn more, I can absolutely point you in the right direction. But first, I just want you to be familiar with it and to understand these basic concepts, okay? All right. So now let's go over off-page SEO because you know about on-page SEO, but I'm sure you're asking, Ruth, what is off-page? I already defined it for you. So the main thing about off-page SEO is backlinks. How can we get other people, other websites to link to our website? That is the goal of off-page SEO. So how can we get someone to mention our website on social media? How can we get another website to talk about our website on their website? Okay, so what other things that other people can do, other external sources that will link back to our website? So a backlink is when another website links to yours, and Google treats each backlink as a vote of confidence. Now think about this. Imagine like a big influencer in your industry also linked they talked about your website on their website. That's a huge boost of confidence. And as you get more backlinks, Google believes that you're a big shot in your industry. Okay. So our goal is always to get more backlinks, and this means you need to build connections with people in your industry, write blog posts for them, include your link in that blog post so that it can always redirect to your website. That is something that I did in the early days. I'd write a lot of blog posts for other colleagues in my industry so that as they're publishing it on their website, the backlinks, I'm getting them as well. Okay, now remember, not all backlinks are equal. That's what I want you to take away from this conversation. Your local news site, absolutely high impact because, again, it's coming from a credible source. Austin City blog links to your neighborhood guide, another high impact. A friend's personal blog that just mentioned your agency, what makes this low impact is because it's a personal blog. It's not in the same industry. So it's a low impact, even though it will help, but it's low impact. A paid link from a random directory. You know how you have Nairaland for those who are in Nigeria, and then like you have Quora, you have Reddit. These are directories. So if you're paying for directories to mention your website, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's more harm than good. However, if they naturally mention your website and they naturally mention your page, that's fine. Okay, but the rule is one backlink from a highly trusted source with relevant site, relevant industry outperforms 100 links from low quality ones. So your goal is always quality over quantity. Okay, and I've already given you a trick on how to get backlinks from other sources. So now, what do we do next? How do we now build backlinks ethically? Because I'm sure that's, again, you're asking me these questions. I've given you one example. Guest posting was the example that I shared with you. Another thing is creating linkable assets. So you could publish a data on your industry. Let's say you spoke with like 50 real estate agents. Now, again, we're using real estate as an example. You spoke to 50 real estate agents, you got data from them, you publish it on your website. Of course, other people would want to reference that content too. That is what I'm talking about. Digital PR and local press, as you're getting talked about in newspapers and articles and podcast interviews and YouTube features. It's also been included. They're linking to your website as well in the footnotes. We love that. Community and directory listings, I already told you, as long as this is natural, it's not something you paid for, it is great and excellent for your backlink strategy. Okay. So now, as we begin to wrap up, what are the SEO tools that I highly recommend for you? Honestly, Google Search Console is mainly what you need. I've talked about Ubersuggest as well for analyzing your website and for you to know when things are good and when you need to adjust and when there are problems on your site and how to fix them because it will tell you how to fix them too. But Google Search Console, absolutely, you need to have it. So once you create your website, you need to sign up to Google Search Console using the same email that you used when creating your website. Okay? Okay. So Google Search Console, it'll give you the performance reports, index coverage, meaning what page is being indexed, what page is not being indexed. It'll give you all of that information. It'll Core Web Vitals, which are, remember when I was talking about content, the page speed, right? It will give you all of that information and what you need to fix as well, and give you reports on what which site links to you, your most linked pages, all of that information, you get it. Now, what we're going to do now is take a moment to look at what Google Search Console looks like because I want to show you once again, we show, we do not just tell. So give me a second. Let's get to that. Okay, so this is the SARM Live Google Search Console. And again, one for yours, all you have to do is sign up with the same Gmail that you use to create the website and you get the full report. So when you come here, I click overview, I'm clicking on full report and I can see how well we're doing. It will tell me the total number of clicks, total number of impressions, our average position. This is telling us that we're showing up on the second page, which is great. It will tell me queries. Queries are keywords, the keywords that people are searching for, right? I can see them right here. This is a short tail keyword, remember? This is a medium tail keyword. This is a short tail keyword as well. And it'll tell me the pages that are doing very well. Look at that. This particular page is doing amazingly well. A lot of impressions, lots of clicks. It will tell me the countries, but that's besides the point. Indexing is where I want to get to. So indexing, I come here, I click on pages. It tells me 135 pages are currently being indexed, 413 are not. And then I can go and click on the ones that are not being indexed and I can tell that these are pages. So see, the ones that are indexed, okay, absolutely they need to be indexed. And then the ones that are currently not being indexed, all right, let me click on, no, this is what we want. Okay, the ones that are not being indexed, this is not showing me right now. Why pages aren't indexed? It's showing me why. View data. There has to be a way. Oh, I see, I see. Here. So this tells me which pages are not being indexed and why, excluded by no. Remember when I was telling you, you can tell the website to index your website or crawl it. So these we excluded them. We don't want them to be crawled. And now I can go through and check. These are pages, I mean, they're irrelevant pages. I know that they're irrelevant. So all you have to do is go through yours and make sure that the pages that are not being indexed, they should not be indexed. And then for the core web vitals, you see how here we currently don't have enough usage data. But remember, I said page speed insights. That's where you need to go to. All you have to do is click this, and it'll take you to page speed insights, and you can get more information about your core web vitals. And HTTPS, our website does not have HTTP. This is what this is telling me, which means we're good. Okay, so this is what your Google Search Console looks like. You should have it for every website so you can track Google Analytics. This is the best tool to track Google Analytics. It is for a website on Google. Of course, you want to use Google's tool as well. Cool, got it? All right, let's begin to wrap up this presentation. So this is supposed to give you an overview of what Google Search Console looks like, but I've actually given you the real life example of that. So what I want you to do for your final project is to find 10 keywords for your campaign using Google Keyword Planner. It is free. You could use Ubersuggest too. And I want you to learn more. Google, how do I use Google Keyword Planner? Because I don't want to spoon feed you with every information. I want to make sure that you can also do your research, right? And record the volume. I want to see what is the volume of that keyword, what is the difficulty, what is the intent, what is the target page. Give me all that information. For the purpose of your project, use Google Keyword Planner. Don't use Ubersuggest. Use Google Keyword Planner because that one is free. You don't have to worry about so many attempts and you running out of attempts. Okay? Cool. So now let us move on. AI and SEO, what has changed? Honestly, what has changed is the fact that now we have Google AI overviews. Before, when you search for something on Google, you don't have that summary page typically. Now, that's the order of the day. You have a summary page, Google summarizes everything for you. It still links to the pages where it's getting those information from, but what that does, it reduces the number of clicks. Blogs are not getting as much clicks as they used to, but now what we're getting is we're getting cited by AI, and that's another vote of confidence, like, okay, you're doing something great here. So even though we may not have as much clicks as we used to, but we're getting cited by AI, we take a win is a win. And then you also have the helpful content system where in 2023 to 2024, the algorithm updates heavily um, the algorithm updates heavily penalized thin AI generated content, but now it's still doing that. All you have to make sure is, as I said in the beginning, make sure your content is as helpful. Give us detailed information, give us everything that we need to know. And that is how Google rewards your content. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are, even if you use AI, make sure that you're editing and it sounds as human as possible. Okay, good. And as you can see here on the screen, the AI generated content with minimal editing traffic dropped by 60%. But then after it was rewritten by real agents, traffic was recovered, like 40% recovery rate. Search generative experience. AI assisted search means fewer clicks. I've talked about that. But again, the goal now is we just want AI citation. That's what makes us happy now as website owners and blog writers. And the EEAT is even more critical now more than ever because everybody is AI everywhere. So what will separate your content moving forward is if you're writing content from a place of experience, you're writing content from a place of expertise, so you really know what you're talking about. It's not AI feeding us information. You speak authoritatively in your content, and we can trust you. How can we trust you? You're showing us certifications on your website. You let us know that you have like 15 years worth of experience, or even if it's five, but you're showing us what makes you credible. Google places weight on content that exhibits and showcases these four pillars in comparison to those that do not. So all I recommend for our clients and for you is if you're going to pick an industry where you have experience, you can show expertise, you can speak authoritatively, and we can trust you. There's a reason for us to trust you. Okay. So now, I know I've been saying as we begin to wrap up, but I think I have one more slide after this one. So we're almost there. Stay with me. What AI and SEO, what will always matter? Content depth and quality. I have talked about this over and over and over again. Get backlinks from trusted sites. Make sure that the search intent aligns with the content that you're writing. Do not write navigational content for an intent that is informational. Do you understand me? Let the intent match what you're writing. Always check your page speed and your mobile experience that your website is mobile friendly, the load time is not too long. And for if you have a local business, make sure you have a Google Business profile. It is free. All you have to do is go on Google and say Google Business Profile account, and you create your accounts right there and then, and follow the steps. It is very easy. I strongly recommend every business owner should have a local business profile. You should, regardless if you're a product-based business or you're a service-based business, you should have it. Highly recommended. It's another way for your website and for your business to be seen by others who may not necessarily go to your website to read your blog post. So, finally, how do you use AI to accelerate your SEO? Because yes, AI is here to stay and there's nothing Rooks can do about that. So what do? You could use AI to give you keyword ideas. You could use AI to generate title tags, the title for your blog post, and tell it to include the keyword that you have chosen. You could use AI to write your meta description. And typically your meta description should even come from your blog post. So you should not need AI to write that for you. But in case you do, right? And then you could use it to build a content brief. These are things that you could do, but it should never be that you're using AI to write the full content. You should still be the one writing, reviewing, editing. That is your job. AI is here to assist you, but not to take away the place of your brain and your creativity. All right. And as I have you on the screen, AI never replaces SEO. I have tried it, it is trash. It makes your work faster. Don't rely on it solely. Always give AI your brand name, your target audience whenever you want to use it, and your location context before asking it to write any SEO content for you. Otherwise, it will just give you something generic that is not specific. And if you're going to use AI to write for you, don't use ChatGPT, don't use Claude. There are tools. Jasper AI is one that is specific for writing blog posts. You could try that out. Again, I don't recommend any of these tools, but if you're going to, Jasper is what I would recommend. Claude is close, but not quite, because Claude is more for like scientific writing, at least from my standpoint. ChatGPT, absolutely no. Okay, so make sure even if you're going to use AI to write your content and then you edit it later, use the AI specific for writing blog posts. That is my point. I believe Ubersuggest also has a blog post writing section as well. Check that out. Okay. Okay, well, I guess we still have one more slide, but this is just your deliverable. So for Model 5, you already know this because I've talked about it as I was going through the slides. Do your keyword research. You could use AI to assist you with that. And I've explained what you need to do there. Uh, what you're submitting in a Word document. You're not using spreadsheet or Notion. Don't worry about that. For your on-page SEO optimization, everything will go in that one Word document. And for your AI SEO workflow sample, put everything together in that Word document as well. But once again, I'm letting you know of this early on so that you can start to work on it and you don't wait until you get to module 9 because module 9 is when I actually break down exactly what I need you to submit. But so far, I want you to keep working, keep practicing, keep implementing everything that you're learning in each module. So by the time you get to that module 9 and I'm fully talking about what I need from you for the final project, you've already done the work. And right now you're just compiling everything in the formats that I want. Good? Awesome. Alrighty. So now at this point, you understand visibility, you understand ranking, you understand how to get discovered, and we're going to be moving right along to module 6 where I will talk about core digital marketing channels. You ready? I'm ready. Let's do it.